Okay, so tell me your name.
Rachelle Zola.
Zola.
And
Where are
it's
you from?
Rachelle. So it has
R
an
O
A. R-A.
or Achelle.
E-L-L-E. Got it.
Rochelle. Got it. Where are you from?
Chicago, Illinois.
How'd you end up here?
I've been walking. I've been walking from Chicago to Selma, and my last stop will be Montgomery. And I don't know, I think I've now walked 770, maybe 780 miles. Yeah, probably 780 miles.
Yikes. Wow. Why?
So I'm walking for racial liberation. And it's just something I'm supposed to be doing. And I do a one-woman show. So I'm actually performing here on Saturday at the National Voting Rights Museum at 2 p.m.
What do you perform?
It's a one-woman show, and it's a dedication. It's a tribute to the Black community.
Okay, so is it like acting or is it speech?
No, I'm not an actor, but I guess I sort of became an actor. I actually went to Theater Y in Chicago, Illinois, with theater group. Her name is Melissa Lorraine that I met. And I said, I'm supposed to do a one-woman show. I'm supposed to share the stories of the Black community that has shared it with me. And the idea is to share it with other people that look like me. And she said yes. She said it was a labor of love, and she's about a 45-year-old white woman. And we just clicked, and she said, I want to make this happen. So it took over a year to create the play. And everyone's welcome. And the first act is a little more theatrical, I guess. Me sharing about how I got here. I'm 76, so it's taken me a while. The play is called Late, A Love Story. And why it's called that is late. I'm late. The country's late. We haven't ended systemic racism, and we need to do that. And the second part is a love story, because when I went back and she was asking for stories, because I shared that I wanted to share these stories that the Black community has shared with me, and it was like, oh my goodness, it's a love story. So it's so perfect, because it was like, it's not late racism,
Right.
or something. It really is. And during the play, it's like, hey, this is a love story of the people I've met. They opened their hearts, granted me entry into a world of love and community that I didn't even know existed.
Is there something that sparked you wanting to do this? One thing or?
No, it's interesting. I get callings. And I actually had been living out of the country. I had lived in Ecuador for a year, helping out at a children's home. And then I went to Peru, and then I went to Mexico, and a friend of mine in Tucson, where I used to live, asked me to come and help her out. Her husband had passed away. And she said, any callings lately? Are you supposed to be someplace else? And it's like, no, not yet. I haven't gotten anything. So I helped her out, and then it was very clear. It's like, you're supposed to go to Chicago. And I was supposed to be engaged in the Black and brown community, and I just naturally, I just gravitated to the Black community. And I went to everything, Sydney. I just went to every workshop, training, symposium, conference that anyone told me about. And they were like, who are you? Who's this 71-year-old white woman, and why is she here? And I didn't even have an answer. All I knew is that I was supposed to listen. And because I kept showing up, they started sharing the most intimate stories of their lives, the lived experiences. And I had no idea of the extent of the harm and trauma that Black people have gone through. And I share it in my play, actually. I say, there's some people that dismiss them as invisible, who just hate them for the color of their skin. I had never even considered their lives, their lived experiences, the trauma, the harm. And I have to say that out loud, and that's my job. That's why I'm walking. Everyone I speak to, I say that. It's important to acknowledge that. It's necessary. People say, how can you be so vulnerable? I say, how can I not? I hadn't even paid attention that I lived in a racist country. I wasn't even thinking about it.
What's an example of something that has sparked you or that you feel connected
The first thing,
to?
I'll tell you, the first thing that happened, I went to a restorative justice circle, and there was just people talking about anti-racism. It was a group of people at a church, and one of the young women shared, a Black woman, maybe 25 at the time, and she shared this story with me that when she was 17, and it's on YouTube. She gave me permission to share that, so I can share something. And she said she's 17. She's walking down the street, and this white couple is coming towards her, and she sees fear in their eyes. So she looks around, thinking there has to be a wild dog, something. It was nothing. They were afraid of her because of the color of her skin. I couldn't imagine that. I mean, when she shared it, I knew that was the truth. But can I imagine that? And so that was the first, it still touches me, and it's in my play. And yeah, so it's that idea of the inhumanity towards others, the fear that has no basis in anything. She's just this gangly teenager walking down the street. And then I knew why I was there. It was that simple. It took me, I've lived in Jordan, I've lived in Ecuador, I've lived in Mexico. It took me coming to Chicago to know about my own country.
So how did the walk come to be?
So I knew I was going to do the play, and Melissa and Emily, who wrote the play with us, and we're just sitting around saying, okay, how do you want people to know about this play? I'm not an actor, I don't belong to, it's like, what do I want? And we were sitting on the roof of the theater, actually, with Melissa and Emily, and Melissa just said, are you supposed to walk this? And it was like, yes, I'm supposed to walk this. It was that simple. I was talking to the other day, it was like, remember that day? And it's like, yeah. It's like,
So, like, do you have any experience walking a lot?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually walked, in 2015, I walked 700 miles around Shikoku Island for a personal pilgrimage. So she knew that I walked. And it was like, I'm supposed to do this.
Where is that island?
In Shikoku Island, in Japan.
In Japan?
Yeah. And it's an
How
island
long did
that-
it take?
I walked that in 67 days.
Okay.
So I walked that in 67 days. I had a 25-pound backpack, and I went around the island, saw 88 Buddhist temples, and that was amazing. So yes, I have a history of being willing to walk. That was a long time ago. The lanes are still going, though.
Yeah, are they the new shoes?
You know what?
Different shoes?
They're new for this trip, but they've had their workout. I've had a lot of, they've had a bit of rain on them.
So
And
you
they're still
started in
working.
Chicago
No, I did.
and went through how many states?
Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and Illinois.
Okay.
So I came straight down, and then I hit Birmingham, and it was like, well, I cannot not go to Selma, because you can go straight down without hitting Selma. So that's how I'm here today. That's
Are
how I'm here in
you
Selma.
walking like on the side of the street, sidewalks?
Yeah, there aren't any sidewalks. And there isn't much of a shoulder. And so, yes, whatever you see, all the country roads. And I walk by myself. No one's following me. No one's going with me. And I just walk. And, I walk facing the traffic. And, sometimes I actually go into the middle of the road to say, I'm actually here, because there's a turn in a curve in the road. I just want people to know that I'm actually here. So, but
Yeah.
most of, what I do, I go with a shopping cart. It's a folding shopping cart, but that's what because I knew I was not going to be able to wear a backpack. And so I have a shopping cart, and it just has my rain gear in it, basically, and lots of liquid. And so, yeah, once in a while I pick it up. I pick it up. And,
Do you stay
I
in
just keep
hotels and
walking.
stuff, or camping? How are you doing it?
No, actually, I have an RV.
Okay.
So I've been staying in the RV. And matter of fact, I have a great respite, because right now I'm at AC Reeves, at her-
Woolworth?
Yes, the Woolworth Lofts. And that has been, oh my goodness, that's been a godsend, just because an RV doesn't have any light. Even though I'm out all day, you would think I'd get enough light, but I go into the RV and it's like, I need my light. And so I'm in Suite A, and it's, like I said, it's just been glorious.
So you
there.
drive the RV and then someone
Yeah.
drives you back to the front?
So that's what's been happening for the last few days. I have my angels wherever I go. So my RV is parked right there on Broad Street. And so someone, just like today, Beth picked me up this morning, and she drove me 20 miles down the road because that's where I stopped yesterday.
Okay.
And she dropped me off, and then I walked 10 more miles. So that's when a free A came and picked me up and brought me back again to here. So it's like this leapfrog that I'm doing.
So will you go back to the spot 10 miles from here and do it again?
Well,
do
what
that
I'm
part?
going to do now, since I'm only 20 miles from Montgomery, I'm performing here on Saturday. So after the performance, I will drive the RV to Montgomery, and then I will ask someone in Montgomery to bring me back 20 miles, and then hopefully pick me up, or someone will pick me up when I get 10 miles closer to Montgomery. So I only have 2 more days, so that's great. So I'll be in Montgomery.
And it's been how many days?
So I started on April 2nd. So I've been gone a long time. It'll be a little, just shy of 5.5 months that I've been doing this. So I started out having a driver for 2 months, 3 weeks. I actually had a driver, so that person would drop me off. They'd be 10 miles down the road. They'd knock on the door. They'd be there, and I had a place to sleep. But that person had to leave, and so all this time.
So you're doing
since,
10 miles a day.
I go back, 10 miles a day.
Mm.
So that's over 80 days that I've done that. When you figure that out. Right?
And you said 700 miles.
It'll be 825 miles.
825.
Yeah. The everything that you've seen, if you go on everything that had been there until now said 754, because at the time I had looked at the miles, but I hadn't considered Selma. So when I added Selma, now it's 825 miles.
Gotcha.
But I had to come over the bridge. I've been here before, but it was like, no, it's necessary for me to.
Yeah, how long ago was it that you were here?
Let's see, 3 years ago, and then, 3 years ago, I came here.
What's your thought about Selma?
I didn't meet anyone when I came to Selma. I knew somebody in Montgomery, so we just drove here. We went across the bridge, and I, saw the museum and interpretive center.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I've met some fabulous people, and so now you have a feel for it, right? And it's just magnificent. I feel at home. The people that have just embraced me. I find that very, in some places more than others. Sometimes I come into some place and I feel like I've been adopted. It's like, I'm going to take care of you. So yesterday at the restaurant, the Five and Dime, there were people there, and it was like, okay, I want to drive you. That's how I met Beth. And it's like, okay, I want to do this with you. So there's this something about, I know what it is, but it's like, I want to participate. So how can I participate? And people have been just sharing about Selma. It's just there's such a history here. And how do you, for me, what I'm doing, right? I want to talk about history. I want to know history. Here I am in my 70s, and I didn't even know the history. And so for me, the part that I'm playing is for speaking to people. How do I activate other people? It's not enough to sit home and say, that's awful. So my biggest thing is, with my play, and I share my friends' stories, and it comes alive. Stories makes a difference. It touches your heart. It's just not mental. It's like, oh my goodness, like what I was just sharing with my friend about Kayla. It's like, she's a person. And this is happening still. This is happening every day to my friends. When I go walk into a restaurant with my friends that are Black, they're looking around, they're scanning. Is it okay to come in? I don't have to do that. So I'm really working at people seeing the human aspect. There's bigger aspects. Incarceration has to be looked at. There's lots of things that have to be looked at, but first we have to look at the everyday. You say, wait a second. I have a friend, Michael, and he went to a workshop, and they asked, what do you want in your life? And he wrote down what he wanted, and a white man said, what do you want? And he said, whatever's on your list. Mm-hmm. It was perfect. But I didn't even know the scope of it. You know, people say, how do you not know? And what I tell people all the time, I don't have an answer that's going to satisfy me. And there's no answer that's going to satisfy the Black community. And all I can do is say to them, I'm here today. And people appreciate that. You know, I was talking to a Frié today in the car, and I had been invited to something. It was actually called the Black and Brown Women's Project. I am not that. And the woman who invited me was Black, but she wasn't able to come. But somebody recognized me from a news clip. And they said, stay if you want. I said, yeah, absolutely, if you feel comfortable. And they were talking about, when did you know there was a difference because of your color of your skin? And they were sharing, and they asked me, and I said, you know what, I was 66 years old. My roommate was a Black woman, and she asked me, she said, how do you wake up in the morning? And she said that when she wakes up, she knows she's a Black woman who has to navigate a white world. And I said to her, I wake up cranky or in a good mood. I never had to think about the color of my skin. This world was built for me. And it's like, but no one ever challenged me. So that's what I'm looking to do. I want to challenge other people that look like me. And I want to start at 3 and 4 or 5. You know, I don't want them to wait till they're 70. I'm meeting people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And they're like, I've never heard this. Never thought about this. So it's still the most hidden secret that's right in front of our eyes. It's crazy. And so it's important for me to use my voice. And people say, why using your body? Why do that? And it's just, again, it's been this calling that says, I'm supposed to be physical. Black people walk out their door and they don't know, you know, they worry about their child. Is your child going to return? I don't have to worry about that. And so it's like, okay, what do I do? I need to just use more than my voice. And I have the capacity to use this body. And I'm walking and meeting people that I never would have met before. Because if I was driving, they would never have met me.
No.
They never would have seen me. I have signage on me. This one says,
Yeah, let's see.
Me. But I have, you know, so people stop me. And they're willing, there's a willingness when they stop me. They'll say, and I guess I'm pretty good at it at this point. I think I always was comfortable saying, they'll say, why are you walking 754 miles? And I'll say, for racial equity. And before they can say anything, I say, may I share a story with you? Because what does that mean?
Yeah.
So people are willing to hear that. And I'll just say the couple stories that I shared with you. You know, that I have friends who have gone into a bank and they question if the check is fraudulent or not. I've never had that happen. And they walked into their own bank. So I share these stories and they say, well, I wouldn't know them. I live in a small white town. I said, well, I grew up on Long Island, not a small town. No, I was only white people where I grew up. I didn't know any Black people growing up, but we used to go into Manhattan. And still, no one challenged me about it. So, you know, that gives people permission to realize it's like, it's not just because of where you live. You know, I have friends who have said their parents were involved in civil rights from very early on. I didn't have that. People ask me, what Black people say, what, did you sit around and just talk about us and hate us? I said, we never mentioned you. And I think, you know, we don't even talk to each other to know that. I had someone say to me, a Black woman in her 30s, say to me, I didn't even know white people had problems. You know, I hear on the news, it's like, you know, you hear, you all sound wonderful. You have these amazing lives. And I've also found Black people, what they have shared with me. So I had a Zoom gathering for a little over a year and a half probably. And it was a very diverse group from probably 15 people to 25 people. And they started sharing that, you know what, as Black people would say, I never shared this with anyone. Who was I going to share this with? It's like there's so much guilt, there's so much shame, whatever it is. It's like, who am I going to share with that? I was walking down the street and a police officer handcuffed me for nothing. I was just walking down the street to my own home. And they stopped me, why are you here? So again, been honored and humbled by hearing all these stories. And then I went to them and I said, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to share your stories with white people. And they said, yes, please, because we've been shouting forever. And you, because of the way you look, they'll listen to you. So I had moved to Chicago in 2019, so COVID hit, so I put it on YouTube because we weren't going anywhere. And then, I just stayed in the community. And then the idea, I knew I needed to do this one-woman show. Like I said, the walking came after the fact that I just knew I was supposed to do this. So I went to my friends. I actually spoke, and they all said yes. 3 are white and 7 are black. And I said, I'm taking this on the road. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm supposed to share these stories. And they said yes, absolutely. So I set up a Zoom call, and I said, just speak whatever you want to say. And I will edit it, and I will make a play around it. And they did that, and they didn't get to see the show. They didn't get to see the edited version, nothing, until the day I showed it on October 21st in 2023 at Theater Y in Chicago. So there was this deep trust and love. And since I've been doing this, they've absolutely been like, thank you.
Is that the same show you're going to do? And
On
where are
this
you?
Saturday.
Where are you doing it again?
At the National Voting Rights Museum here in Selma.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll be doing it in Montgomery. I think I'm scheduled to do it like 4 times in Montgomery. If you get on my website, late.love, you'll see wherever I'm performing.
Okay.
And the other big thing that's going to be going on is on the 12th of September 12th, that's a Thursday, we're having we're just having a celebration and an acknowledgement of all the people that have come before civil rights. We're going to be at the church of the, can't think of the, Dexter Avenue, King Memorial Baptist Church. We're going to be there at 4 p.m. and we're going to have a few speakers from Montgomery and just sharing the history and just acknowledging what is taking place.
And that's
There's more to
coming
be
up?
done. That's going to be on September 12th.
12th, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So pretty excited about that.